Alright everyone, welcome back to another video, and today in this video I want to do my full camera review for the iPhone XR. So we're going to go through everything that you need to know about the iPhone XR's cameras in terms of software, hardware, and then at the end of the video I'm going to attach on my photo samples, and then I'm going to attach on my video samples, and then at the very end I'm going to let you know if this device is worth picking up strictly based on the cameras and based on the device overall. So I hope you guys and gals found this review helpful, and without further ado, let's begin. Now, starting off here, the first thing I want to go over with everyone is the ways that you can launch into the cameras on your iOS device. And in iOS, there's two specific ways that you can do this. Now, pay attention to the demonstration that will be up on your screen in post. But way number one is from the lock screen. All you have to do is tap and hold on the camera icon, and once you let it go, it's going to bring you into the main camera interface landing page. Okay, that's way number one. Way number two is all you have to do is find the camera icon anywhere you may have it located on your home screens, tap on it, and it's also going to take you into the main camera interface landing page. Alright, now let's go ahead and go through the main camera interface from top to bottom, left to right, and then we're going to go over how you can get into some more customizable settings that are buried deeper in the settings. Alright, so let's get started. Starting off at the top, in the very left hand corner, you can see we have our flash controls. So you see if I tap it, it turns it on. If I tap it again, it turns it off. Right? Then right next to that, you can see an up arrow. And if I tap that up arrow, you can see we get an expanded menu, sub-menu down at the bottom, which is again flash controls, live photo controls, our aspect ratios. So you can see we could do a square ratio, right, just like this, or we can do 4:3, which is the standard ratio for the cameras, or we could do 16:9, so a cinematic ratio or full screen ratio. So that's how you would adjust your ratios inside of your iOS iPhone XR camera application. Then right next to that, we just have our live photo mode here. Okay, and you can see I could turn it off and on with the drop down, or I could turn it off and on via the shortcut in the upper right hand corner. Okay, so this goes over all of these shortcuts on the top portion of the screen. Then just below that, we have our main composition window or viewfinder. Let me give y'all something a little bit better to look at here. Boom. All right. Then just below that, we have all of our modes for the cameras. So if we swipe left, you can see we got all of our video modes. So we have video mode, then we have slow motion video mode, then we have time-lapse mode. Okay? Then if we swipe right from photos, which is the main mode that the camera comes in by default, if we swipe right from photos, we have portrait mode photos with all the different effects. So we got natural light, we got studio light, and then we have contour light. Alright, and in terms of the photo samples you guys are going to see later, I use natural light or I use studio light, and primarily I use the front facing camera when I was taking portrait mode shots or just selfies in general. Then we also have a panoramic mode in the far right. Okay, that pretty much just makes it so you can take a big shot. It's a guided big shot, so to speak. All right, and then if you want to switch to the front facing camera, you can tap the little circle in the bottom right to take you to the front facing camera. Now, one of the things that I don't like about the iPhone XR is that when you're taking portrait mode video, it'll only work once it detects a subject. So once it detects that there's a face on the screen, then it will give you a live preview of how that portrait mode effect is going to work. And you can do portrait mode with the front-facing 7 megapixel camera, or you can do portrait mode with the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera. And then once a face is detected, you got a bunch of options that you can choose from here. So really good stuff here, really good stuff here indeed. And that's probably one of the only gripes that I have with the iPhone XR cameras, is that the portrait mode only works when you're using, or when it detects a face. Okay, and if I switch back, you can see no person detected, so it's just going to take a regular shot. All right, so that goes over portrait mode and one of the gripes that I have with it. Now, moving on, let's talk about video and some of the video resolutions. Now, out of the box here, the front-facing camera can record 720p to 1080p 60 footage. That's the max that it can do with the front-facing camera. 1080p 60 FPS footage. All right. On the rear-facing camera can go all the way up to 4K 60 FPS, but there's a caveat with that, and I'm going to explain that a little bit later on. Okay. And what's really nice is with the latest update for iOS, you do have the ability to swap between your recording resolutions from right inside the camera application. So you see, I tap on it and it swaps. And then I tap on the frames per second and it swaps. Okay? Really good stuff here. But there's a caveat to that as well, and I'm going to explain that a little bit later on. Now, same rules apply if we go over into slow motion. It can record all the way up to 1080p at 240 frames per second slow motion, but it can also do 240 frames per second slow motion in 720p as well, and it could do 1080p 120 frames per second slow motion as well. So you got a variety of different options that you can do with your iPhone XR cameras. Okay, just wanted to go through that, but there are some caveats to the slow motion as well that I am going to go over. All right. Now, this primarily goes through all of the settings in the main camera interface for your iOS device. Now let's get into some sub-settings and some more granular controls that you can have with your iOS device. Now, in order to do this, we got to come out of the camera application, and then we can go into the settings, and then we can find the camera application again here in the settings. And if we tap on camera, now we can get more additional controls and some more additional information about the cameras. Now, remember those caveats that I mentioned earlier? Well, a large majority of them have to do with the different formats that the iOS camera lets you record in. Now, caveat number one, you can indeed do 4K 60 FPS footage, but that's only in high efficiency mode. All right? Now, high efficiency mode most likely means that it's only going to be compatible with other iOS devices. So your MacBook, your iPad, your iPhones, but it's not going to be as widely compatible with other devices like PCs or general Android tablets or things of that nature. But it will let you get the ability to record in the highest resolution possible with the rear-facing camera, which is 4K at 60 FPS. Now, if we bump it down to most compatible, then it will give you the most compatible format for your photos and videos, and this maxes the recording resolution to 4K at 30 FPS. So let me demonstrate. So if I go to high efficiency and we come out and I go back to the cameras, okay, and we go to video, and now you can see we're on 4K, and I can go all the way up to 4K at 60 FPS. All right. Now, that's only compatible with other iOS devices that can handle that format, so to speak. You might get lucky with some other devices, but it's pretty much hit or miss. All right? So that was the caveat that I wanted to point out from earlier. It can do 4K 60, but there are some caveats to it. All right? And that's your formats, and that's the first option in the camera settings. All right? Directly below that, we have our recording resolutions, and we have a real neat and clean breakdown of every recording resolution. So you can see we can record all the way from 720p at 30 FPS all the way up to 4K at 60 FPS. Okay? And one of the things that I like about Apple and their iOS software is that they give you a clean breakdown of what these recording resolutions do in terms of space. So you can see when you record in 720p 30 FPS, that's what they call space saver, and it takes up 40 megabits per second. When you record all the way up in 4K at 60 FPS, the higher resolution, it records 400 megabits per second. All right, and they give you that nice little graph of what all the resolutions do and how much space it takes up in terms of megabits per second. All right, then just below that, we have a flatter profile for different video formats for different televisions. You could turn this off and on if you would like. And then we do have a auto low lighting frames per second setting. So the camera will automatically reduce the frames per second to adjust for the lighting. Okay, so that option is here. Now by default, this is how the device comes by default. So it comes set to most compatible. Up here in terms of format, it comes set to most compatible. And then it comes giving you the ability to record all the way up to 4K 30 FPS. If you want the highest options, you're going to have to switch formats to high efficiency. And then you can record all the way up to 4K 60 FPS. But you can see, if you do 4K 60 FPS, you lose the ability to have the auto frames per second. Okay? If you want the auto frames per second, you can only go up to 4K at 30 FPS. You can see that option comes back once I go down to 4K at 30 FPS. Alright? Now let's continue to go do some more things here. And let me put it back down to how it was out of the box. Okay? Now, moving on, in terms of slow motion here, we have pretty much the same rules apply. So you can record 1080p, 120 frames per second, slow motion, or you can record 1080p, 240 frames per second, slow motion, but that's only in high efficiency mode. If you're not in high efficiency mode, then your 240 frames per second slow motion will be recorded in 720p. Okay, and again, it gives you that nice resolution spatial breakdown. So 1080p 120 frames per second slow motion, 350 megabits per second. 720p 240 frames per second slow motion, as you can see, which it labels as the default, is 300 megabits per second. And the maximum high efficiency one, 1080p 240 frames per second slow motion, is 480 megabits per second. Again, I like that. I feel like a lot of other devices need to have that clean breakdown in there. Okay? So, moving on here, the microphones do give you the ability to record in stereo. So it does give you the ability to use all the microphones to do a stereo recording. That's that next option there. So you toggle it off if you don't. You toggle it on if you do. Then we have the preserve settings. So if there's a certain mode you know you use a lot, toggle that on. It will remember that mode. If there's certain settings that you know you use in terms of filters and aspect ratios, toggle that on. It will preserve that mode. Okay? And in terms of live photos, in terms of resets and turns on and turns off, you can control that as well. Now, let me go ahead and set this up to how I'm going to use it after the review. So I will toggle live photos off because I don't like that. And I'm going to toggle on the ratios, toggle on the modes. Now, if we go back into the camera app here, I'm just going to set this up the way I would like. So I'm going to leave it at, I have to take this down to 720p. Let me go back in here. Because myself, I record at 720p to save on space, and it still maintains really good quality. So we're going to bump this down to 720p. Alright. Go back into the camera app here. So it's going to be 720p, 30 FPS. Now, if I do slow motion, I'm also going to do the same thing, but it's going to be 120 frames per second in HD. Now, going over to photos, this will be my setup. I typically, when I'm not doing reviews, I record photos in 16:9. Okay. Other than that, I don't like live photos, so we're going to turn that off. And I don't like flash, so we're also going to turn that off as well. All right. Moving forward, this is how I will take my photos. This is how I will record my videos. All right. And now it will preserve those settings because I turned on the preserve settings option in the main settings. All right. Now, just for in the interest of full disclosure, I do want to let everyone know that in terms of taking the photos, all the photos were taken in the 4:3 maximum resolution. And in terms of taking the video, I did 30 FPS video everywhere. So I did 720p 30, I did 1080p 30, and I did 4K 30 in terms of the video samplings and testings. Okay, so we didn't do any 1080p 60, and we didn't do any 4K 60. All right, just wanted to let everyone know that up front. Now, moving on down the options here, we do have the ability to turn on the burst mode with the volume slider, okay, or volume rocker. Now, I was a little bit sad to see that they don't give you the ability to zoom with the volume rocker, but it is what it is. Then we got the QR code scanner. We got the live text scanner. We got the grid. This is something that I always turn on, the grid. So if I turn it off and we go into the camera, you can see there's no grid now. But if I go back into the settings and we turn it on, now you can see we're going to have that 3:3 grid up in here. Boom. It just makes it easier to line up the photos or line up the video. That's why I like that. Let's go back into the settings now. Boom. All right. Then just below that, you can see we have the ability to mirror the front and rear facing cameras. So if there's a particular shot that I took with the rear and I want to mirror those settings on the front, we would toggle that on. And then just below that, you can see underneath the capture photos option, you have the ability to prioritize faster shooting for better photos. So it just ramps up the shutter speed pretty much. And I always turn that on because I would much rather have faster shutter speed so I can get the shot that I want than have it set to normal. Then we have the Smart HDR, and then we have the ability to keep the HDR shot or keep the normal shot. With Smart HDR turned on, you're going to keep the HDR shot. To keep the normal shot, you need to turn on keep normal photo as well. Alright? But if you don't like Smart HDR, you can toggle this off, and then you can just keep the normal photo. Now, out of the box, it comes set like this. So that's how I had it set up. Okay? And again, again, I can't harp on this enough. One of the things that I really love about iOS is the ability that they do for explaining things. The ability that they have for explaining things in a nice, easy to understand fashion. All right? So you can see they have nice, easy, digestible descriptions under each of the settings where they feel like a description was needed. All right? So really good stuff there in my overall opinion. All right, guys and gals, I do believe that does it for this camera walkthrough. Now what I'm going to do, as I said earlier, I'm going to attach all my photo samples, and then I'm going to attach all my video samples, and I will see you guys at the end of the video where I'm going to give y'all my overall final thoughts. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I hope y'all find it helpful. And please remember, this whole video will be timestamped for your convenience, so please feel free to check out the video description so you can jump around to different parts of the video that you would like to know more about. Alright? That being said, I'll see you guys on the other side. Peace. How's everybody doing today? Back again with another video for everyone, and today we're jumping into the camera coverage on the iPhone XR. So we're going to do all the photo samples, we're going to do all the video samples, and this video will be timestamped for everyone's convenience. So please feel free to jump around to different parts of the video that you would like to know more about. So starting off here, we got some front-facing footage, all right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, I will correct myself with annotations in post, but this front-facing camera, I believe it's either 7 or 8 megapixels. Again, look for the correct annotations that will be down below in post. And the front-facing camera maxes out at a recording resolution of 1080p, 30 FPS. All right. So starting off here, we got some 720p, 30 FPS footage. Nice little stationary footage here, out here in shooting space number 1. So please let me know what you guys and gals think. Now, in all honesty, I've been using this bad boy for almost a week, and I gotta say I really like the iPhone's cameras. And more so, it gives me more of a Pixel-esque experience, because I could take a snap, and that first snap, 9 times out of 10, is gonna be the shot that I want. So it's kind of giving me the Pixel experience in terms of the cameras. So I'm really enjoying them, all right? And the fact that in terms of the video footage, the video footage that these cameras can produce is pretty much amazing, all right? But let me know what y'all think of this front-facing clip, and let's move on to testing out the rear-facing 12-megapixel camera in the same lighting scenario here. I will be right back. I'll see y'all in a second. All right, everyone, and now we're testing out the rear-facing 12-megapixel camera in the same lighting scenario. So let's not waste any time, because we don't have a lot of space to work with, and let's jump straight into the testing. So we're gonna do some pans, we're gonna do some tilts, we're gonna do some exposure testing, and then we're gonna finish up with the zoom testing and move on to testing out the cameras indoors. All right, so let's not waste any time and let's jump straight into it. So let's start with the pans. Let's pan from here all the way through to right about there, and come on back. We're gonna do this 2 times. So that was 1. And here we go with number 2. Okay, and come on back to the center. Now we're gonna test the exposure. Now it is a beautiful day out here today. So you can see everything is almost perfectly lit. So I don't know how good we're gonna do with the exposure testing, but we're gonna test it out 2 times, and see what it do. So we're gonna line up, focus on that big tree in the distance there, and pan down to the ground. All right, and back up. Boom, that's 1. And here we go with number 2. And that's 2. And keep in mind, y'all, when we're testing out the exposure, we want a nice smooth transition from the lighter areas to the darker areas with minimal to no exposure blowout. And if the cameras do blow out, we want them to recover as evenly and as quickly as possible. All right? And as I said, that's going to be tough to do here today, because it is a beautiful day and everything is pretty much perfectly lit. But we're going to try it nevertheless. Now, let's move on to testing out the focus. Now, the iPhones have continuous autofocus as well as tap to focus. We're going to test out the continuous autofocus first. So we're going to use our typical 3 focal subjects. So the big tree in front of us, the bushes off to my left, okay, and the pillar off to my right. And I want y'all to let me know how you feel the autofocus and tap to focus does. Again, starting out with autofocus first, and let's go. So going over, bushes to my left. All right, how does that look? Now this looks really good through the viewfinder. Tree in front, okay, and pillar off to my right. Okay, we're gonna do that 2 times. So that was 1. Let's go 1 more time. Bushes to the left. Tree in front. Pillar off to the right. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? All right, let's bring it back to the center. Let me readjust my grip so we can do the tap to focus. And here we go, we're gonna do it again, tap to focus style. So bushes to the left, tap, locked up, and now we do have exposure controls here. So if you see, there's a little sun that comes up, and we can swipe up to overexpose, and we can swipe down to underexpose, or we can line it up perfectly to our heart's content here, just by swiping on the little sun that comes up. And if we tap again, it resets it back to auto. All right, so let me try it again just so y'all can see. So coming from the center to the bushes, tap, locked up. That was almost instant. Coming over to the tree in the center, tap, locked up. And then pillar off to my right, tap, locked up. Again, almost instant. The focusing speed on the iPhone is damn fast. All right, let's do it one more time. So bushes to the left, tap, locked up. Tree to the center, tap, locked up. And then pillar off to the right, tap, locked up. Okay? And if I didn't say it, we do also have the ability to take photos while in video. So we do still have our standard photo shutter button. But you know, that's pretty much a standard thing with all smartphones now. But I feel like I need to mention it. Anyways, let's get into the zoom testing here. So this whole video so far has been done with no zoom. So now let's go up to, this is like old pixel style, so we don't get any numbers. We just get a scroll wheel with a ball, and that's it. Oh, wow. So this is going to be kind of tough. So we get a little bar with a scroll wheel on it, and I'm going to try to do my typical thing when we talk about the zoom. But I always like to end testing out the zoom because it tests out all the capabilities of the camera, in my opinion. The stabilization, the detail retention, all that good stuff. And y'all, please let me know what y'all think of the audio as well, because there is no Bluetooth microphone hooked up and there is no dongle plugged in to get wireless audio or wired audio. So everything from a footage and sound standpoint is going to be coming directly out of the cameras and their onboard microphones. So let me know what y'all think of the audio and the video. Now let's jump into this zoom. So let's go up to what I think is 1.5 times. So yeah, I think this is 1.5 times. And we're going to lock in on that big bush in the distance there. So this is 1.5 times zoom. And that looks really damn good. All right. Now let's go up to 2 times zoom here. I think that's 2 times. All right. Now let's take it up to 3. Right there, 3 times zoom. Man, this still looks really, really good. Really good. And now let's zoom in all the way. Let's take it all the way to the top. Boom. That's it. So that's the max zoom on the iPhone's main primary 12 megapixel camera. And even that still looks really good, y'all. I can't lie. Now the colors is slightly overexposed, but the image itself looks very pleasing still. All right, let me know what y'all think. And I gotta say, this stabilization is on point. There's a little bit of bounce to it, a little bit of jiggle to it, but it's more than usable, man. Let me know what y'all think. All right, let's zoom out now. And now we're back to no zoom. All right. So real quick, front-facing camera test, stationary style, and rear-facing camera test with the iPhone XR. Now let's go inside and do some indoor daytime low-light camera tests in 720p, and then we'll finish up doing some nighttime artificial lighting camera tests in 720p. Now, as I did with my last camera test, we're gonna keep everything to 30 FPS. So we're gonna do 720p, 30 FPS, 1080p, 30 FPS, and 4K, 30 FPS. We're gonna keep it with the 30s here. Even though the rear-facing primary camera on the iPhone XR can do 1080p, 240 frames per second slow motion, and 120 frames per second slow motion, and record up to 4K at 60 FPS. We're gonna lock in everything at 30 FPS. So 720p 30, 1080p 30, and 4K 30. All right? All right, so let's continue on with the testing now, and I will be right back. I'll see y'all in a second. Peace. All right, everyone, and now we're testing out the front and rear-facing cameras on the iPhone XR indoors daytime low light. So this is the front facing, I think it's either 7 or 8 megapixel camera. And this is indoors, daytime, low light scenarios here. And once again, this is 720p, 30 FPS footage with no external microphone hooked up. Nice stationary footage here. Let me know what y'all think of this. Now, if I'm being honest with y'all, based on what I see through the viewfinder, this looks really, really good. Even though we don't have a lot of light to work with right now, it's still doing a really, really great job. All right, so real quick, vlog style, stationary clip with the front facing camera. Now, let's spin the cameras around and test out the rear facing 12 megapixel camera in the same low light daytime scenario. All right, I will be right back. I'll see y'all in a second. Peace. All right, everyone. So as promised, all I've done was spin the cameras around, and now let's get into testing out the rear-facing 12 megapixel cameras on the iPhone XR or XR, however you want to call it, you know, but X in Roman numerals is 10, so that's why I say 10R. You know, it is what it is. But a quick verification, then we'll jump straight into the testing here. So if I pan over, y'all can see that it is indeed indoor, daytime, low light here. The only thing we have lighting up the scene here today is the natural light coming in through the window here. If I pan over further, y'all can see there's no other lights turned on at this time. Okay, so this is indeed indoor, daytime, low light. All right, now let's position everything up in the traditional reviewer style approach. Let me center this, and then we'll tilt this down. Boom. And now we're lined up and we're ready to go. So now you can see everything is positioned in the traditional reviewer style angle here. So if I was going to record some footage or give y'all a product demonstration or review, all I would have to do is turn on my studio lights and then we can get to recording here. But real quickly, I just want y'all to see what this looks like in daytime low light. So let me pick up the keyboard here and pan it through, and y'all let me know how you feel the iPhone is doing in terms of retaining the detail retention in this lower light scenario here. So how are those keys? How crisp is it? How easy is it to read? Let me pan it through for y'all. And if I'm being honest, based on the angle that I'm looking through the camera, this looks really, really good. Really good. All right. Okay. And now let me go grab an oldie but a goodie here, and we'll do some focus testing here. So here it is over here, my bad. All right. Okay, Samsung Galaxy S7 active. Let's get a nice tight close-up there. How is the camera doing in this lighting scenario? How's it doing with the detail retention? Let's pan it up and down. How legible is that? Can you read that real good? How's the focus there? Actually, that doesn't look half bad. That doesn't look half bad at all. All right, now let's do some focus testing. Check out the depth of field going on back here a little bit. It's not as strong as some of the Android cameras that I've tested, but it's coming through a little bit. But let's do some focus testing here. So let me pull out the phone. See how quickly it locks back on focus on the keyboard. So 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. Nice gradient shift of focus. It's kind of very pleasing to the eye. I don't know if I'm explaining it right. I'm just trying to give y'all my experience based on what I'm seeing. But nice little gradient shift of focus. All right. But focus was fairly fast. You know, it's a lower light scenario. It's fairly fast. Now, let's bring it back in and let's test it one more time. So bringing the phone back in, locking that focus back up. How fast was that? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Let's go back to the text here. How legible is that? What do y'all think? All right. Boom. Boom. And let's take it out. Boom. Yeah, nice little gradient shift focus lock. It actually looks very pleasing to the eye, and that it slows down the focusing speed just a little bit, but it looks good and the focus is still fast. But real quick, indoor daytime low light test with the front and the rear facing cameras on the iPhone XR. Now what I'm going to do is a little bit later on this evening, we're going to redo a similar test just like this one in nighttime artificial lighting scenarios here. Okay, so I'll be right back with everyone for those next set of tests. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Peace. All right, everyone, so now we are back in with another set of camera test videos for the iPhone XR. This time we're testing out the front and the rear facing cameras on the XR in nighttime artificial lighting scenarios here. Starting off the testing, we're testing out the front facing 7 megapixel camera, and this is in 720p at 30 FPS. And I do want to make a small correction. The front facing camera can record all the way up to 1080p at 60 FPS, okay? But as I said earlier, we're going to lock everything at 30 FPS. So we're going to do 720p 30 with the front and 1080p 30 with the front. And then we're going to go all the way up to 4K 30 with the rear. But anyways, starting off this final set of 720p testing, we got a nice front-facing vlog style test with the front-facing 7 megapixel camera. So what do y'all think? How is the front-facing camera on the iPhone XR performing in this lighting scenario? Also, how's the audio? Let me know all your feedback down below. Alright? Now let's go ahead and spin these cameras around and get into some more testing. I will be right back. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Peace. Alright, everyone, so now as promised, all I did was spin the cameras around, and now we're testing out the 12 megapixel rear facing camera on the iPhone XR. Alright, and this is nighttime artificial lighting scenarios. So if we pan over here, you can see there is no natural light coming in through my window here, but I do have my studio bulb set up, so you can see I got one of my smart studio bulbs in the lamp, and my other studio bulb is in my other lamp, and then we got my overhead room light, which has another 3 bulbs in it. So all the studio lights are going, all except for the directional lights. I do not have the directional lights set up right now, but this is essentially artificial nighttime light testing here, okay? So real quick verification there. Now let me level this back up straight, and we're gonna angle this up into the traditional reviewer style angle here. So that looks straight. Now let's angle her down. Boom. And there we have it. I gotta back up just a touch. Yeah, that looks good. So this should be angled up straight if I'm not mistaken. Now it's a little bit harder for me to see the viewfinder because of how I have this angle set up, but this should be straight on, okay? So this should give you an overall general idea of how the cameras perform in a traditional reviewer style angle here, okay? With the rear facing 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone XR. So now let's get into the focus testing here, the detail testing. So let me hold up the keyboard, and I want y'all to let me know how you feel the cameras are performing in this lower light artificial lighting scenario. How sharp is that text? How legible is that text? Let me know. Let me pan it through for y'all. Okay, and let me go back through. Okay, put that down. All right, and now let's pick up a device to do some focus testing with. Might as well use the oldie but the goodie, the S7 Active here. Check out the detail on that. Let me give y'all a nice tight close-up. Let me pan it up. Check out the text on that. How legible is that? How readable is that? For y'all who don't know what legible means, how readable is that? Let me know. All right. Check out that nice shallow depth of field going on in the background there. What do y'all think? Let's do some quick focus testing here. So let's take the phone out and see how quickly the camera's locked back up on the keyboard in the background. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. And we're back on the keyboard. Now, one thing that I'm noticing that in lower or artificial lighting scenarios, the focus tends to do like a granular slide in or a granular slide out. So it's kind of like a blurred in lock and a blurred out lock. Okay? I don't know how well y'all saw it in that test. Let's do it one more time. So let's bring the phone back in. Get it in nice and tight here. All right? And then let's go up to the text. Bam. Come back down. Bam. And let's take it out. Bam. All right, real quick camera test here. This concludes the 720p testing with the iPhone XR. Now the next set of tests you guys and gals are going to see is going to be in 1080p at 30 FPS, and that's going to be outside in shooting space number 2, and inside back here in this lighting scenario again a little bit later on for the indoor daytime low light and the nighttime artificial lighting. So this way, y'all get an idea of how good the 720p footage is, you get an idea of how good the 1080p footage is, and you get an idea of how good the 4K footage is. Alright? That's one of the reasons why I do my camera tests the way I do them, especially when we talk about the video. I try to make it very, very similar across my camera reviews, so you can go back and check all the different devices that I reviewed in very, very similar scenarios, so you can see just how much better one camera is over the other, or vice versa. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump to the next set of tests, and I will be right back. It's going to be a couple days for me. It's going to be instant for y'all. Peace. Alright everyone, and now we are back in. We're out here in shooting space number 2, and once again we're testing out the front and the rear facing cameras on the iPhone XR. This time we're out here testing them out in what I would consider to be the most challenging environment. So we got a bunch of background noise, we got yard work getting done, we got car work getting done, we have the pool pump going. There's a bunch of stuff going on, and this gives us a true test of how the microphones are going to perform and how the cameras are going to perform. So hopefully this audio is coming through really, really good, and hopefully the picture looks good as well. All right, starting off here, 1080p footage with the front-facing camera, 1080p, 30 FPS, no external microphone hooked up. All right, nice stationary vlog style footage. Let me know what y'all think. Alright? Now, real quickly here, I'm just going to spin the cameras around, and we're going to test out the rear facing 12 megapixel camera in the same scenario. Alright? So, I will be right back. I'll see y'all in a second. Peace. Alright y'all, so now we are back in. And now we're testing out the 12 megapixel rear-facing camera on the iPhone XR in the same scenario that we tested out the front. So this is 1080p, 30 FPS footage right here, and let's see how the cameras do. All right? And again, this is with no external audio hooked up, so we're going to see how those microphones do as well. Let's start the panning. So we're going to pan from here all the way through to right about there, and come on back. All right, we're gonna do this twice because we don't got a lot of space, so we're gonna make this video real quick, or try to. So that was one. Here we go with number 2. All right, number 2. Bring it back to center, and now we're gonna do an exposure test. So we're gonna line up on the pool heater here and pan up and down to the ground, And as I always say with the exposure test, we want a nice smooth transition from the lighter areas to the darker areas with minimal exposure blowout, okay? If the cameras do blow out, we want them to recover as evenly and as quickly as possible. So let's see what happens here. So we're lined up on the pump, and let's go down. And let's come back up. One, we're gonna do this twice, so that was one. One more time. And up. That's two. All right, so y'all let me know what y'all think of that exposure test. Hopefully it turned out really, really well. Now let's go directly into a focus test. So we're gonna pick our 3 focal subjects here. Now I like this big pack of water bottles over here to my far left. So that's gonna be 1, all right? Then we're gonna use the pool heater as number 2. And then we got the big pool chair as number 3. So that's gonna be our 3 focal subjects here. Now we're gonna test this out how we always do. So continuous autofocus first, and then tap to focus last, okay? And I want y'all to let me know down below in the comments how you feel the iPhone XR cameras did. All right, so let's get started. Coming to the far left. I think I'm lined up on those water bottles. Okay, coming to the water heater. Boom. Going to the pool chair. Boom. That shot right there actually looks really, really good. All right, coming back over. That was 1. Back to the water bottles. Boom. Okay. Back to the pool heater. 2. All right. Then last but certainly not least, that big pool chair. 3. All right. All right. All right. Now, for the final test here, we're gonna do a zooming test. And I like to do the zooming test again because to me, the zooming test tests out all the important parts of a camera. So, and most importantly, the stabilization and the detail retention. So we're gonna just lock in on the roof on that house on the other side, right? Now, this whole video has been done with no zoom. We're just gonna slowly zoom in to max zoom, and I want y'all to let me know how you feel the camera performs. So let's get started. No zoom. Let's go in. All right. Went in a little too quick. So that's like what, 1.5 times right there. Okay. Let's go in some more. That's like two, maybe 3 times right there. Now the iPhone cameras, they don't give you any indication of the zoom level. So it's just a zoom ball and you slide it up or down. All right. But I gotta tell y'all, the colors, the detail, everything is looking really, really good. These cameras are knocking it out the park. Now let's take it to max zoom. All right, so now we're zoomed in all the way. And honestly, looking at the viewfinder, it might be slightly overexposed, but that detail looks great. That stabilization is really smooth. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? All right, let's zoom out. All right, now we're back to no zoom. All right, so this tests out the 12 megapixel rear facing camera in 1080p, 30 FPS. All right, now we're gonna run inside and we're gonna do some more testing with the front and rear facing cameras. Up next, we're gonna do the indoor daytime low light test. All right, so I'll be right back with that next set of tests for everyone. I'll see y'all in a bit. Peace. All right, everyone, and now we are back in and we're testing out the front and the rear facing cameras on the iPhone XR. This time we're testing them out indoors, daytime, low light scenarios here. So starting off with the front facing 7 megapixel camera in 1080p, 30 FPS, nice stationary vlog style footage here. What do y'all think? Now, this lower light scenario is very challenging for some cameras. So hopefully the iPhone is doing a great job. Based on what I'm seeing through the viewfinder, it's looking really, really good. And also, please let me know what y'all think of the overall audio as well. No external microphone hooked up on this one. All right? So now, let's go ahead and spin the camera around and let's test out the primary 12 megapixel camera in this same lighting scenario. Give me 1 second, let me set that up, and I'll be right back. So I'll see y'all in a second. All right, everyone, and here we go. As promised, all I did was spin the cameras around, and now let's get into testing out the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone XR indoors daytime low light settings here. All right, real quick, we're gonna do some verifications and we're gonna get directly into the testing. So if we pan over this way, y'all can indeed see that the only light we have lighting up the room here today is the natural daylight coming in through the window. Y'all can see if I pan over even more, there's no other lights turned on right now. So this is low day natural light here, okay? Just wanted to do that quick verification. Now let's center everything up and let's angle the cameras in the traditional reviewer style angle and start the testing here. Let's go. So this looks about straight. That looks good. And now let's angle them down. Boom. And that was not straight, actually. That's straight. All right. Actually, I'm a little bit off. There we go. That is straight. Boom. And now everything is angled up in the traditional reviewer style angle here, right? So now let's do some detail and focus testing, and then we'll wrap the video up. So starting off here, let me know how the clarity is or the sharpness is on the keys on the keyboard here. How legible is that? How readable is that? Let me pan this through for everyone, and y'all let me know how the cameras are performing down below in the comments. There we go. Pan it over. Okay, pan it back over. How is that? How is that? All right, now let me grab a device and we'll do some detail and focus testing with the device. So we got the trusty dusty S7 active here. Let's get a nice tight close-up on it. How's the detail on the back of the device? Can you pick up that stipple pattern there going on here? Let me get y'all a close-up on the text on the bottom. How legible is that? Okay, now I got a pretty difficult angle looking at the viewfinder, so I won't be able to tell until I watch it back in post. But how legible is that text right there? Okay, how much detail are you pulling off the back of the device right here? I'm seeing some nice shallow depth of field going on as it locks focus on the back of the device versus the back of the keyboard. Now let's do some focus testing here and see how it does. So we're going to take the device out and see how quickly it locks on the keyboard. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. And we're on the keyboard. Really nice focus here. Again, I'm seeing a lot of what I saw yesterday. So it's kind of like a granular focus lock. It kind of slides into focus, slides out of focus, slides back in. But overall, it's doing a really great job for this lower light scenario. But let's do it one more time. So bringing the device back in. How quickly did it lock back up on the focus? What do y'all think? And then let's check out the text again. How clear is that? How legible is that? Let me know down below. All right, now let's take the device out one more time. Boom, and it locked back up on the keyboard. You know, fairly quick, not bad at all. All right, so this concludes the testing with the front and the rear facing cameras in 1080p at 30 FPS. And once again, this was the indoor daytime low light test. All right. Now, a little bit later on, we're going to redo the testing with the cameras in nighttime artificial lighting here. Okay, so I'll be right back later on for y'all with those last set of tests in 1080p. All right, I'll see y'all in a second. All right, everybody, and now we are back in, and we're testing out the iPhone XR cameras in 1080p, 30 FPS, with no external microphone hooked up, and this is nighttime artificial lighting scenarios here. All right, starting off here, we're testing out the front-facing 7-megapixel camera in a nice stationary vlog style test. So what do you guys and gals think? How's the detail? How's the audio? How's the stabilization? How's the lighting? How's the front-facing camera doing? Let me know. Leave all your feedback down below. All right, now let's spin the cameras around and let's do a similar test with the rear-facing 12-megapixel camera. I'll be right back. I'll see y'all in a second. All right, everybody. So real quickly now, I just spun the cameras around. Now we're testing out the 12-megapixel rear-facing camera on the iPhone XR in 1080p, 30 FPS, and this is nighttime artificial lighting scenarios here. So let's do some quick verifications and then let's jump straight into the testing. Let's not waste any time. So panning over this way, y'all can see that there is no natural light coming in through the window here. That's why I left the shade open here. But you can see if we pan all the way over, my smart LED studio light bulbs are turned on and they are set to maximum brightness. So I got 5 of these in total. Just wanted to show y'all that. Okay, so this is indeed nighttime artificial lighting scenarios here. Just wanted to give y'all a quick verification. Now let's pan back over. Let's straighten everything up and then let's angle the camera down into the traditional reviewer style angle and let's jump into the testing here. So that looks straight. Now let's angle it down. Boom. And actually I gotta back up a little bit. Boom, there we go. And then I gotta angle it just a touch. There we go. All right. And y'all can see now that is straight on and that this is what we would call the traditional reviewer style angle. And if I wanted to give that nice wide view, all I have to do is raise the tripod up all the way to get that nice wide view here. Just like that. So all the way up. Then we tighten it up. Alright, and now when we back up, got that nice wide view with the cameras here. So this is the perfect reviewer style angle here with the iPhone XR cameras, right? Or the primary camera. Now let me hold the keyboard up and I want y'all to let me know how good the detail is coming off the keys. How legible is this? How readable is this? How are the cameras doing in this artificial lighting scenario? Let's pan it through. Let me know what y'all think. How sharp is that? How legible is that? Let me know down below. Pan it back through. All right. Now let's pick up the S7 Active here. And let's do some focus testing and let's check some detail. So bringing the device in, how sharp is that? How good is the camera at picking up the stipple pattern on the back of the device? All right. Check out that nice shallow depth of field going on with the separation between the focal point on the phone and the background subject in the keyboard. You see that nice blurred effect. Let's pan up to the text. How legible, how sharp is that text? How easy is that to read? Let me hold that up. Can you read that? Let me know down below. All right, I kind of got to look at it at a bad angle here, but I'll look at it back in post, but y'all let me know what you think. Now let's check the focusing speeds. Let's see how fast the camera locks back on the keyboard in the background versus the phone in the foreground. Let's take the phone out. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. And we're locked. That was actually pretty good. That was pretty good indeed. All right, let's do it one more time. Let's bring the phone back in. Boom. Get that nice, tight, and close. How good is the detail on that again? All right, let's check out the text again. How legible is that? All right. And now let's see how fast it refocuses when we take it out. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Boom, and we're back on the keyboard. So, man, I guess I can finally say it. I see what all the fuss is about. These iPhone cameras, these bad boys are on point, man. Now I can see why a lot of mobile content creators or a lot of content creators in general primarily use iOS products to create and edit and fully produce their videos. Because these cameras, in terms of photos, in terms of video, in terms of audio, they're extremely reliable, man. Whether it's 720p footage, whether it's 1080p footage, even whether it's 4K footage, y'all gonna see the 4K footage coming up next. And regardless of whatever photo you're trying to take, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be like a pixel. You're gonna get a great shot, a great photo, a great video, regardless of whatever you're trying to do. So I finally see what the fuss is all about. And then you got all the software and support behind that. Yeah, okay. I can respect it. I can dig it. Props to Apple. Props to iOS. Props to their product here. They did a great job. All right. This brings a close to the 1080p testing. Now, finally, a little bit later on tomorrow, we're going to get into the final set of 4K tests, and then we're going to wrap this video up. All right? So I'll be right back with the last set of tests for everyone. I'll see y'all in a second. Well, it's going to be a day for me. It's going to be a second for y'all. I'll be right back. Peace. All right, everyone, and welcome back to the final set of camera tests for the iPhone XR. Now, I usually go all the way out to the big yard to do this, but it's hot and it's sunny today, and I didn't want to be out there in direct sunlight getting toasted. So I came and decided to sit down underneath my favorite tree, and we're still going to get this testing in for everybody like we always do. But if the view looks a little different, that's why. But without further ado, let's not waste any time, because these 4K camera samples can get huge. So let's dive straight into our typical camera testing. So here today we're testing out the rear-facing primary 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone XR, and this is being recorded in 4K at 30 FPS with no external microphone hooked up. So please, as always, let me know what you think of the overall video quality as well as the overall audio quality down below in the comments. As always, all feedback is greatly appreciated. Just keep it respectful, please. All right? So let's get into the testing here. So let's start off with the pans. We're going to pan from here all the way through to right about there and back. We're going to do this 2 times. So that's 1. Here we go with number 2. And that's 2. All right, now we're going to do an exposure test. So we're going to pan up and down to the ground, and we're going to see how it handles the shifts in brightness and the shifts in exposure. Now, ideally, what we're looking for here is a nice smooth transition from the lighter areas to the darker areas with minimal to no exposure blowout. And if the cameras do blow out, we want them to recover as evenly and as quickly as possible. Let's see how it does. Let's do this 3 times. Ready? So we're lined up on the tree, and we're panning down to the ground. right, back up to the tree. That's 1. All right, let's go again. On the tree, down to the ground, and back up to the tree. That's 2. Last one, on the tree, down to the ground, back up to the tree. That's 3. What do y'all think? How did it perform? It looked pretty good through the viewfinder, if I must say so myself. Now let's test out the focus. Now the iPhone XR gives you continuous autofocus as well as tap to focus. We're gonna test each 2 times. All right, starting off with continuous autofocus. So we're gonna pick our 3 focal subjects. I like the tree over the shed right there. That's focal subject number 1. This tree in front, this could be focal subject number 2. And the stump down there in the distance could be focal subject number 3. All right, so we're going to cycle through them now using continuous autofocus, and I want y'all to let me know how you feel the cameras do. All right, so number 1, that looks like it's lined up. Number 2, that looks like it's lined up. That looks really good, actually. And then number 3, that also looks really, really good. All right, go again. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. How does that look, y'all? Let me know. Let me know. All right, now that was 2. Let me adjust my grip, and we'll do the same thing with tap to focus now. So number 1, tree over the shed, tap, locked up. That was almost instant, y'all. Number 2, tree in front, tap, locked up. Again, almost instant. And number 3, stump in the distance, tap, locked up. Again, almost instant. Almost instant. Really fast, really reliable focusing speeds with the XR here. So not bad at all. Okay. Got some sweat on my leg. All right, let's do it one more time. So number 1, tree over the shed, tap, locked up. Number 2, tree in front, tap, locked up. And number 3, the stump, tap, locked up. That was pretty much perfect, y'all. It's almost instant. There's little to no delay that I can discern with my eyes. So really good, really fast focusing speeds here. Really good stuff indeed. Now, moving on, let's now do the zoom testing. So let's lock the focus here on the stump. Okay, lock that focus in. And then we're going to pinch the zoom in. And I want y'all to pay attention to a few things. Number 1, pay attention to the stabilization. And number 2, pay attention to the detail retention. That's one of the reasons why I like to do zoom tests, because those are the hardest things to maintain throughout a video. Nice steady zoom and stabilization and detail retention. Very hard to do with mobile cameras. Let's see how the iPhone XR does here. So now we have no zoom, and let's start zooming in. Okay. Zoom in further. Okay. And then let's max out. So this is max zoom here. Let's do it again. So no zoom. Zoom in a little bit. Zoom in a little further. And then max it out. How's the stabilization, y'all? How's the detail? Actually, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. All right, now let's zoom out. And now we have no zoom. All right, so this was a real quick test with the primary 12 megapixel camera on the iPhone XR. This again was in 4K at 30 FPS with no external microphone hooked up. So please let me know what y'all think. All feedback, as always, is greatly appreciated. Now I'm gonna set this up vlog style, and I'm gonna come back and give everyone my thoughts. So give me a second, because I gotta figure out how I'm gonna set this up to where the wind won't blow it over. And we're gonna use the primary camera for that, so that means I'm gonna have to angle it to where I can get in the frame and be lined up good. But I'll be right back with the final clip and my closing thoughts and my overall recommendations. I'll see y'all in a second. Okay, so hopefully this is lined up really good. I got it set up on my walker here, nice and stabilized. Hopefully the breeze doesn't knock it over. But now we have a real quick vlog style test with the primary cameras on the iPhone XR here, okay? And let me give y'all my closing thoughts and an overall recommendation. Now, I've been using this device for about a week and a half, getting all these camera samples together, taking photos, taking video in different lighting scenarios, testing out the audio, all that good stuff. Now, in terms of the cameras, how do I feel about the iPhone XR? This device is really good, especially when we talk about the cameras. All right? If I had to make it akin to anything that I've experienced prior, I would have to make this akin to the Pixel experience. Okay? The cameras on the iOS device, the iPhone XR, is very similar to the Pixel cameras. It's pretty much, it does all the work and it gets out of your way. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna come out with a really good shot. With a really good shot, and that's regardless of whatever you're trying to do. So you're gonna come out with a really good shot in terms of photos, and you're gonna come out with a really good shot in terms of video. And the audio on here is really, really good as well. Now, it might not be the best here because I'm not too close to the device, but trust me, I was actually able to get some really good audio from the iPhone XR. So in terms of the cameras, I could recommend this device hands down. All right? Now, moving on to whether or not I could recommend the device overall on the whole. Now, the only thing I can't fully talk about yet is the battery life. It's only been a week and a half. Okay? I got to do a little bit more battery testing before I formulate my final opinion. That being said, talking about the OS and the smoothness of the OS, Apple has nailed it. Nailed it. This bad boy is buttery smooth. And that's what all of my applications loaded up on it. It is buttery smooth. And I was pleasantly surprised because there's only 3 gigs of RAM on here. And as a longtime Android user, everybody knows on Android, RAM makes all the difference. So to be using the iPhone XR and to only have 3 gigs of RAM and to be running so buttery smooth, yes, Apple. Kudos to y'all, man. Y'all did it. Respect. So in terms of smoothness, in terms of day-to-day usage with the device, it has been phenomenal. And I haven't had any issues. So, can I recommend that y'all pick up this device even here in late 2021, early 2022? I would have to say yes. If you're looking at a cost-effective way into the Apple ecosystem, or you just want to try it out in general, then I can more than easily recommend that y'all go out there and pick up the iPhone XR. All right, so this does it for the camera review. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all found it helpful. As always, please leave your feedback down below, and remember to keep it respectful, please. All right, I will see y'all in another video. I hope everyone is staying safe out there, and have a good one. We are out of here. Peace. I think it's starting to rain a little bit, but it's sunny over there. Why is this cloud moving over here? Damn, Florida, get your act together, man. And it's still hot. How are you starting to drizzle and the clouds are coming in and it's still hot? Florida weather, baby. Florida weather. All right, have a good one, everybody. We're out of here. Peace.